Hi, everyone. Um, my name is Federico, and welcome to the Cuttle Facebook live stream. I really appreciate you coming and asking questions. So for today, I I decided to do like a collection of questions that people have been requesting on Facebook. Um, I wanted to answer a few things, but I noticed that there is like a pattern. So I think the different questions I'm going to be answering are going to be using kind of like the same technique. So I hope that you can use that technique for your needs, and maybe it will give you some ideas for how to modify some ornaments. Um, so let's get started. So this is the idea. I think people sometimes want to make small modifications to an existing template, like when you're making one-offs, and sometimes people suggest that you download the file and open it in a different software, and that's all valid because sometimes you're more comfortable with other types of software. But there are a lot of things you can do within Cuttle. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So let's start with the first question here. I wanted to try an easy one. So the idea here is how to add this halo to the pet ornaments. And let's do this one real quick. So let's go to the templates, and I'm gonna look for that. I think that's the paw ornament. So I'm gonna open it here. And so I think the idea is that I want to show you that. So you can do all the things you need with the file. So let's try this example. So it's Gavin, and then they had the wings, and they wanted to add an ornament. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open the file in the Cuttle editor. So I need to scroll up, and then hit this button. So I'm going to open it in the Cuttle editor. And usually we know that we have these like, we have all these components on the left-hand side. But the one that appears in the README is the one called cut. And so because I'm going to make a one-off modification, what I want to do is I'm just going to create a separate component down here. I'm going to call it the one-off. And then I'm going to place that cut in there. So let's center it. And so what I want to do is convert it to paths. And so what that does is that it kind of bakes the file in. I mean, what I mean by that is like right now I can still change things here and they will update. But now if I select these and I go to edit, and there is an option here to the bottom called convert to paths. So when I hit that, you'll see that now if I make a change here, nothing happens because I sort of baked all those changes in. So I can kind of go ahead and modify it. And so I think this one, what I want to do here is that they all come in as a group, meaning they're all together. So if I try to make any changes, all the paths are together. So I can go here to the right and right click, and there is an option called on group. And so now I can see that I have two. Now I have this one, which is this red one, which is the backer, and I have this other group over here. And I could actually go ahead and ungroup that one too. So now I just have a bunch of separate paths. And I guess I'm going to center it just to have it as a reference. So let's place it here. The reason I ungrouped all those separate paths is that like I want to preserve all these little blue lines, which are the scores, while I can select just the outside. All right, so for the halo, I think what I want to do is just grab a circle. I'm going to make the circle like a little squishy. Squish it in the vertical axis. And then I'm going to make it a little bigger. And I'm going to apply this modifier called outline stroke. And then make it a little thicker. And now I want to make these two touch like so. And so now I want to just weld those two together. So I'm going to select the outside And then I'm going to select that halo, and I'm going to go to modify and Boolean union. So the reason I separated everything is I wanted to preserve those blue lines. So, those are like separate, but now it should work as is. So a couple of things to mention here real quick is the first thing I just made all these changes and I didn't even save the project. As you can see down here, I still have this copy project. So that's something you might want to do. You want to copy the project to your own folder, and that will make it private, and that will preserve these changes. If you don't do that, it kind of disappears as soon as I close the window. Also, the other thing to mention is that this halo didn't apply to the main thing. So this is still kind of functional. But you can see the halo there because we just applied that change to that particular component, the one I called one-off. All right, so that answers that question, how to add a halo here. I suppose the same you could modify the template and apply the halo to the top. I just didn't know how to deal with it, because if you want the backer, let's place the backer right there. If you want the backer, I don't know how you would do it with that. So maybe the idea of this one is not to use the backer and maybe hang it from the halo. All right, cool. So that one is done. Let's close it. Next one. So let's talk about these other ornament. So I'm going to close this window. And so all the changes I made are going to disappear. So remember, if you want to do these, you might want to copy the project so all those changes are saved. So I'm going to just go back to Explore and then Templates. So let's close that. So the next one is going to be this ornament. And let me tell you about this question. So the circular ornament. We'll spend some time with this one. So the question here is if there is a way to use different fonts when using this template. And the idea is the center. I think Mary wanted to have like 2 different fonts there. So the way the template is set up, if you write different things here, these are all going to have the same font. And you can change that font. If you go here to the center name, there's an option and you can change the font to other fonts. But I think the question here is whether you could have Papa with one font and Mama with a different font. And so it's not set up like that. And so I'm kind of assuming you want it to be like a one-off thing. And so we can do that. So I'm going to do something similar. I'm going to open it in the Cuttle editor. I'm going to set it up exactly how I want it initially, while I can make all the changes and all the tweaks. So I think I'm just going to leave it as is, but I'm going to delete the center name because we're going to be sort of putting something in the middle. So once again, I'm going to go ahead and make another component. I'm going to call it the one-off. And I'm going to drag what I want out of my template, put it in the center. Because I could center it actually like these. And right now is when I can change all the names here. So I could write anything. An example, I don't know. Oh, quick tip. So, I separated it here by having two lines of text, and this one is upside down. And so if you open the outer names, there's an option here that says flip upside down. And so that's going to flip the one. So I think I set it up the way I wanted it. I could make other changes. And now I'm going to kind of bake it in. What I mean by that is that this is also the equivalent of something that I've seen people suggest, which is if you go to File and export your SVG like these, And you upload that once again into Cuttle. So I'm going to import it. This one I just did. That's kind of like the equivalent of like just, baking it in that like now if I change anything here, nothing's going to change on that one. I just think it's like, it works, but it's it's a little bit more straightforward to do the thing that's kind of built in, which is if I select it, I go to edit, I go to convert to paths, then I can kind of modify it the way I want it. Okay, so this one in particular is going to work like this. So once again, I have a group, and if I open the group just to look at it, I can see that I have a compound path, which is the outside, the ring of the ornament, and then there is this other one, which is the letters. So I'm going to ungroup it just so I can manipulate it easier. So I'm going to right-click, ungroup it, and I want to leave those outside letters alone. So one thing I can do is I can hide it, make it invisible, and then make it visible again later. That's a way to do it. Another way is there is a little lock option here. So if I lock it, then I won't be able to select it or apply any modifier for the time being. So all the modifications are gonna be on the ring. So let's try and put a couple of pieces of text. So the original uses connected text. So I could do something like this. I want these to have a certain font. I'm gonna try and write a sentence, something like a slight. So this is going to be one of them. And then I'm going to grab another piece of connected text, a separate one, and I'm going to type something else, twist. And so these two are independent. And then this one is going to have a different font. So let's see something kind of... I don't know, something like that. The design is not like fantastic, but so now I can change the size of this one just to kind of like get a sense for how it's going. I can change the size of this one. I probably want them to be touching a little bit. Yeah. So I think if you're making a single one, this is probably enough, because now we have the option of having two separate fonts inside the same thing. And so, once we're done with these, what we can do is select everything. Remember that I'm not selecting those letters because I locked them. And I can apply the modifier, the the well-done score modifier. So I'm going to apply the well-done score, and that should do the trick. These two are joined. This is joined. They should cut off. You should be able to cut this off like as a nice ornament. So I think that kind of answers that question. If you're doing a one-off, the easiest, the quickest way is just like drag to your two different pieces of text. Size it. A possible option is that you want to kind of be able to write different sentences or something. So in that case, you would be like modifying the template further. If you want to change the sentence, that in this case, you need to go here, and change it here. And then one complication there is that it's not automatically sizing things the way the original template does. It's not super hard to deal with that. I think we can, let me backtrack a little bit. So I'm going to delete that well-done score. I'm going to ungroup things again. And so I think one option to deal with these is to, let's go back to the twist. Is that I can actually select these and use the built-in option that kind of fits everything in within the existing one. So if I apply the fit within, that should work. The thing I need to do here, so I need to apply the fit within, and now I think if I write complication, yeah, it should it should like keep it in, but like I feel like it's a little bit harder to handle, these things because they're gonna be kind of interacting together. And then I would have to apply that wellness score again to this group. So anyway, it's, design wise is a little bit harder to do this kind of thing, but it is possible. And of course you could always like extract these as parameters, so you can like have, change those a little bit easier. But anyway, I hope this answers this question: how to have two pieces of text with different fonts. So remember that I once again did not copy this to my project. So you need to do that if you want to save it. So I'm going to call this one answered for now, because I think that kind of makes sense. This wasn't a question that someone submitted. Amber just showed us like what they were doing, and I think it looks cool. And so somebody else in the comments did ask how they managed to do these. And so let me explain what they did. So I think this looks very much like the ornament. They just added these sections, these little pieces engraved on the backer. And I think that's a really nice modification that, it's like an additional customization that like makes it even more special. So I'm gonna go ahead and close these one. Let's go back to the templates. Let's find that ornament. And so the idea here is, let's see, yeah, this nice, very nice pictures. They added these like additional things. So I think the idea here is that we want to sort of, again, create the thing that we want. So so I'm gonna change it. I'm gonna start my thing. So I'm gonna say, I'm gonna put the name of my cat. I'm gonna write something. Once again, the bottom part is flipped, so I can open the outer names and flip it upside down so it's readable. And so I think with this basic idea, I can go ahead and modify it. I want to include the backer, so it adds that backer section. And so now that I did all the things that I kind of wanted, I'm going to go ahead and open it in the Cuttle editor. I'm going to follow the same pattern that I did before, which is I'm going to go down here, create a new component. I'm going to call it the one off. I'm going to drag the cut component in here, so I can start applying my modifications. Even when I do that again, if I make any changes here, they work. But now I'm going to select these. I'm going to go to edit and convert to paths. So now none of these changes are going to work. If I type anything here, nothing happens. So this one is like baked in. And so the thing I want to do is, once again, it came in as a group that has the two sections. It has this pad on the right, and it has this group on the left. So I don't want to make any changes to this one. I want to make some changes to this one. And the thing I actually want is to align them so I can see what it looks like. So I can actually select, I'm going to ungroup it by right-clicking, then clicking on group. If I select these two, I get this little alignment option. I click there. Yeah, that brings it perfectly in alignment. I'm just going to move it to the center. A little unnecessary, but I like to see things centered. And so what I can do here, if I want to engrave some little things in the on the backer, I can just place them, and I see how they interact with the front. I want to show you a quick thing that I recently discovered. You've seen me use this website called the Noun project, where you can get like icons and SVGs and things like that. So if I search for cat, there are a bunch of options. I can click on the cat that I like, oh, this one is cool. I can click on the cat that I want, and I can download an SVG that then I can upload into my project. So I can go to File, Import SVG, and it's downloaded. This is the one I just downloaded, and I can open it. And then I can just kind of use it. Toby convinced me to pay for the subscription for this place. Like, I know, I mean, it's another subscription, but this one is like, I don't know, $3 a month or something. But the thing I discovered that they have is this really cool desktop app. So it's called the Noun project. And it just pops up this window. Let me see. It just pops up this window where you can use like search stuff. So I can say cat. Then there are all these different options. And the awesome thing I realized is that you can select, if you select here SVG, it lets me just like drag and drop. So I can like drag and drop this cat onto my project. I think, I don't know, it's kind of fun. You can use it for inspiration or whatnot. Anyway, back to the project. So I think I want to have like a little cat here. So I drag that SVG, I can resize it and center it. I probably want to give it a different color because I'm going to be probably engraving that. Let's use that pink for engraving. I'm going to grab my Noun project thing again. I don't know, I'm going to fish or tuna maybe. Yeah, let's grab this fish. So I think I can drag and drop that. This is like a quick resize it. Make it pink. So once I have roughly what I want, I think I can separate these two because I'm gonna like move it aside. And then this is gonna be engraved on the back. So now I can go ahead and go to File and export my SVG. So I can send it to the laser cutter. The other kind of like quick variation on this one is that you might want, I mean, this is a cool option to engrave it in the back, but you know, another option would be to like attach it to the front, which would mean that you have no fill. I'm just gonna do it with the front with this cat, and then you might want to like make it touch the outside circle, and then we want to kind of weld the cat to the ring on the outside. Let me get rid of that section. Let me move the backer away. The slow way around. And then I'm going to do the same thing I did on the previous example, which is I'm going to ungroup these. I'm going to go here, ungroup, because I only want the cat to interact with the ring, not to interact with the letters. And then I can go to modify and apply the Boolean union. And in this case, the cat would be part of the front. All right, so I think this one kind of answers the question on how to add like an engraving on the back, and I kind of added my additional how to add the same, a similar thing to the front. There's a question: is there a way to use the icon cat at the beginning and end of the word in the ornament? So the question here was like whether we could put this cat icon here. Not currently. Right now, the only things you can add are when you click on insert symbol is whatever appears here. So like a star. We are looking into maybe adding that functionality in the future, where like you can create an icon on one side and then it would appear here, but not right now. Thanks for the question, Nicholas. So, okay, I think I have time to do another one. So I think this one is good. I'm gonna close it. This is another one related to the ornament. Somebody requested this idea. They created this some time ago, but they were having trouble joining these pieces to the outside of the ornament. So I just kind of showed the example with the cat. And this is a little similar because, they have the front, they added some custom stuff, and then they wanted to change it. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because I think this is actually a cool way of modifying this ornament just by adding different things. So I can actually, I'm going to leave this one open. So this one off, I'm going to delete it. So the idea here that that this question, they had something around. So it says Darlene's family salon. Oops, sorry, that's on the outer side. And then they had other names at the bottom, so I press enter. Excuse me. Remember that I previously had selected this option to flip upside down for these. It was selected, so that's why it's kind of flipping them nicely. And so for this example, we have no center name. So I'm going to delete the center name. I'm going to create another component, the one-off component. Then I'm going to go ahead and bring, I guess I can bring the whole thing. This example doesn't have a backer. So actually I don't need the backer. So now I'm going to go ahead and do the same operation here. I'm going to select these. I'm going to go to edit. I'm going to convert to paths. So now I can, once again, apply some modifications. This isn't working anymore. That's like baked in this particular case. So I'm going to go ahead and ungroup that. So I can see again that I have a group that is the letters, and I have another group that is the outside. I'm going to, once again, center it. Let's place it there. So the idea here is I'm going to go ahead and bring this example here into my, assuming that I'm only bringing in the center pieces. So I actually separated them. So I'm going to go import them. So just the ornaments. Here we go. Just the decoration. So this one is going to require a little bit of kind of wrangling because let me show you what I mean. So if I were to just go ahead and place it, I'm going to scale it a tiny bit so it touches on the sides. I'm going to lock those letters so I'm not interacting with them by accident. So now if I were to weld these, if I select everything, go to modify weld or union, this works. The downside I see with this particular file is that all these sections are going to fall off. All these kind of like highlights on the items. And this is like so close together that it's also going to cut off right away. So I need to separate those pads that are like the decorative parts. So those get scored. Those are also, I think, let me see if I apply the weld and score. Same thing happens here. It's only scoring the sections that are overlapping. But this is also, this section is just going to fall off. So it kind of makes no sense. So what I want to do is actually modify it a little bit. Let me ungroup that. So let's place it here on this side so I can show you what's the story. So what's happening with this one is this is called a compound path. So if I give these a fill, you'll see that everything else that is the highlights is actually is cutting through because I can see that there is a hole. I don't think I have enough time to explain what a compound path is, but you can see that what I want to do here is turn all those paths into separate paths that are not interacting in a way in which, a pad that is inside another one turns into a hole. And so what I need to do in this particular case is select it and go to edit. And then there's an option called release compound path. So once I do that, then all the paths, as you can see here on the right, are separate now because they're released. And so if I were to apply the same thing I did before, if I apply a fill, you'll see that now everything gets the same fill. So the thing I want to do is select all the other paths that are like the kind of decorative sections. So I can see that there is like an outside outline, and I want to separate that one. So I selected it here, and I can see it here. So I'm going to lock it for a moment. And now I can select everything else that belongs to it, and I can give it a different color. So I'm going to give it, I don't know, let's make it pink for now. So now all those different highlights are a different color, and I can go ahead and unlock the one I had unlocked. I'm going to group all of these. I can right click on it and go to group. So now I can easily move it around. And now I can go back to the top, place it here. And I think now my operation should work, because if I weld it, if I do the weld and score, I'm going to select everything, apply weld and score. Now what happens is that these paths are welded to the ring, but all the blue sections I can set as a score, so they are just kind of like the highlights, adding some like interest to the ornament. So anyway, I hope this answered a few questions about how to modify this ornament. I think this one was an interesting one to answer, because they managed to create a kind of really interesting ornament just by bringing a different kind of SVG into it. And so hopefully this is like inspiration for you to do something similar. All right, cool. So that's half an hour. Thank you so much for watching, and then I will see you in the next one. All right, bye.